Hello, Reese from the Point Music Podcast Thingy. Really cool episode this week. This is Daniel from Lucid Safari, some epic indie reggae from Brisbane. They released the new EP Delirium onto all streaming platforms, which we features here on The Point just recently. Really dig that EP, and this was a great chat with Daniel. So I really do hope you appreciate this one. Get into it, folks. This is Daniel from Lucid Safari. We are rolling. Daniel from Lucid Safari, how are you, my man?
So good, man. Thank you so much for having me on today.
All good. Are you sweating down there? Because it's really humid in Sunshine Coast right now, so it's just gross.
the aircon's been on all day. We've got solar, so it's okay.
But
yeah. Well, it covers the lounge room. I'm sitting in my studio now, where I've been for the last 6 hours today. And I get none of that aircon, so it's a bit rough.
So you just open the door, breathe in, let it chill, and then you go back and take a deep breath, and you're back to sweatbox. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And my I got to keep the door shut. My roommates don't want to hear me making noise all day.
Same thing as this, basically. Because what we're in right now, this podcast, little studio thing's also a shared office that I have with my wife. So one side of the office is basically all my studio equipment, and the other side is all her stuff because she has an online business. So. Yeah,
fantastic.
I know that feeling, man. Know that feeling. Hey, I just want to say, fucking, that EP is amazing.
Thank you. Oh, I'm so glad you like it. Thank you so much.
I've got to get it. It's Delirium, isn't it?
Yeah, Delirium. Yeah. You got it. You nailed it.
No, we actually have been seeing, well, I wouldn't say a lack, but there definitely has been a bit of a stall of sort of indie reggae and that sort of stuff happening in southeast Queensland. Like, this used to be like the boiling pot of like reggae roots sort of stuff there, and all of a sudden it's just gone fizzled out. And then when your EP came through to me, I was like, oh yay, some fresh stuff to listen to. So yeah, sick. I mean, it's got like old school, like, I hate dropping Sticky Fingers' name because it stirs up shit, but like
the whole controversy. Yeah, I feel that.
But it reminds me of older Sticky Fingers sort of stuff, and even Ocean Alley when they first started out, and to a more modern Karilpa Reach, because I love those dudes too.
Oh man, I'm such Karilpa fans. I only saw them for the first time at Caloundra music festival just gone. Yeah. And I hadn't heard of I had heard of them, but I hadn't seen them or heard their music before, and I was repeating that on the way home from the festival. It was just like, oh my god, I can't believe these guys are from West End. Like, what the hell?
Those guys are killing it, man. Like, they've come a long way too from when I first saw them. Like, I think first time I saw them was at Soul Bar, and they were a little bit rough around the edges, but you could see that there was something really cool there. And then next thing you know, they're just killing it in West End and delivering in their scene. And that was that the main stage that you saw him at?
Yes.
I was there for that.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, that was it was a great festival, and it, like, obviously, you know, when the whole Corona thing kicked in, I was like, it was the year of me going, I'm gonna go to every festival, because I've never been to like enough festivals. I've been to like 2 of them in my life, and Caloundra was the third. So it was just, it took a while, man. So it was just nice to see some live music again on the scale it should be done. You know?
Have you applied for this year's one?
I have. I just did the other day.
There you go. Well done.
Yeah. We're so into it.
Yeah, you got to be on the ball with that one, man. Though. So.
Oh man, I'm hoping we get onto there, even to do a small stage. It was so funny, like, I know so many of the guys playing on stage, like every stage, and went up to them afterwards, just like, hey man, killer job, love watching the set. And they're like, oh yeah, are you playing this year? And I'm like, oh, like, all of them were just like, yeah, well, why aren't you playing? And it's like, well, we've got nothing out yet, but now we've got something out, so hopefully that is a bit of a draw card.
If you saw Karilpa, and you earlier when you weren't talking, when we were on air, Barefoot played that same day, just so you know.
The same day?
Yep.
Wait, what time?
I think we played at 4:30 or something.
Well, hang on.
But we played up in the Sun stage, which was in the sort of the stage up on the hill.
It may have conflicted with one of my mates' bands.
And
that might have been why I wasn't there. Because I've definitely, Yeah, because I had one of my mates was drumming for a couple of bands,
Right.
and he's drummed for me a couple of times as well.
Cool.
And so you got to support the boys as you do.
Yeah.
But I actually, now you say that, I remember seeing your name on the lineup. Yeah, I guarantee we were just like it was the main stage and the I can't remember the little stage next to it.
Oh, yep.
I guarantee it. Yeah. But yeah, that'd be why.
Hang on, which
So
which
funny.
one which mate is drumming?
Cody Costa.
Was he drumming? Was he drumming for Carlu?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. That's what it was.
He's killer.
Yeah, man.
He was playing in like 3 or 4 bands.
From
over
memory.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's awesome too. He's so good.
Now, stop talking about other musos, man. We're talking about you.
Anyway. Yes.
Anyway, so you mentioned you got your own studio right there, but you obviously recorded the EP elsewhere. But I'm assuming you would have done your pre-prod and all that sort of stuff in your little home studio there.
Absolutely, yeah. So I had quite a few demos because we've been playing the songs at a couple of shows, not too many, but just enough to kind of. I had written the songs, but my constant struggle is that I wanna let my band members know, exactly what their parts are. But the problem with that is that I'm not always having the same members play the same shows.
Yeah.
So yeah, so recording demos and my terrible program drums was like the best solution I could come up with. And I bought a bass, like a half decent bass, like a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Coincidentally joined another band about 2 weeks after as a bass player. I'm not a bass player, but jumping into it and kind of getting a feel for the instrument.
Careful,
not
you're
coming
talking
out
to a bass player here.
I know. Like, well, nothing but respect. Like, I tried to like, no, of course. I came at it from like, I'm not going to approach this as a guitarist. I'm going to look at it as, I'm a first year bass player, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like really try and get the technique properly down. Obviously there's some transferable skills, but for the most part, it's a totally different beast.
Particularly if you're playing sort of what style of music were you playing like in that band?
Oh, in the other band, it's much more pop, R&B, soul sort of stuff. But there is a lot more. It's definitely I wouldn't want to jump into my music and be playing it because I'm thankful I've got other dudes around me who can like, oh yeah, nice bass line, that's cute. Now here's the real thing. And I'm like, okay, fair. So yeah, and thankfully like the other band is really patient with me because the main songwriter in that band is a bass, he's a multi-instrumentalist, but he's primarily bass.
Yep.
And he can just do run-throughs with me and show me exactly what to do.
Nice.
So yeah, so I started demoing out these songs as best I could in my studio. Had a couple written and, trying to send stems to all my band members. And as we're playing them, the parts are changing and all that sort of stuff. But we did record, we recorded all the drums in one studio. I've got, do you know Damon Joel, DJ?
Yes.
Plays
Sahara Beck.
Sahara Beck.
Yep.
Yeah, yep. So he's the drummer on this record.
No shit.
And yeah, man, he's wonderful.
Dude's a machine, man, and the loveliest bloke as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I love playing with him. I love just being around him and his family. They're just the definition of wholesome. Yeah, we went to a studio called Red Engine Studios in Wynnum, and has a wonderful as soon as I called up DJ, I said, hey man, I want to get you on this record. And, and he said, oh, okay, where are you recording it? I said, oh, Red Engine Studios. He's like, man, so good. So he just loves the drum room, the way it sounds in there, everything came together. So that was really good. I mean, we're compressing the crap out of the drums anyway for my style of music, but it's still, good starting
Sounded
position.
Clean, man.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Oh, I'm so glad. Well, I can't take any credit for that. My producer, Nathan, did most of that. No, he did all of it. Yeah. But yeah, so and we recorded drums and bass at Red Engine. And would you believe we actually recorded everything else in this room?
Yeah, I would, because you're talking to someone that records. I've done this exact same thing with my other project, Mules. Everything was recorded in basically, not this one, the previous house, in a tiny little office. Everything was recorded in there, bar the drums.
Brilliant. And, yeah. I mean, as long as the drums, you have some verb on the drums to set some vibe, and you're there. Like,
Yep.
it's great. So, yeah, it helped a lot on the budget thing,
Oh, hell yeah.
budget side of things. Yeah. Because, I've got a beautiful, a cream reverb from BJ amplifiers, and it's only 30 watts, but it's a tube. And obviously, to get that tube tone, you need the breakup, and you need to turn it up, and you need to warn your neighbors. But we actually decided to DI all guitars on this record.
Yeah. Sometimes
don't
it's
tell
easier,
any
but
purists.
mate, some of the amps sort of emulators that you can get these days,
Yeah.
unless you're a snob or you're wanting like feedback or something
totally.
like, or some natural sort of like buzz or anything like that, then fuck it, just use the amp emulators, man.
Yeah, and honestly, all of that. Have you come across the HX Stomp pedal from Line 6? It's just like the Helix.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a...
Yeah,
yeah.
I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
All the guitar amps are straight out of that.
Yeah.
Like, it's, it's fantastic. And it's all stock.
Yeah.
I didn't have any IRs or anything like that. So, yeah, it was cool. And then we just recorded on a little NT1 mic from Rode. And, yeah, it was good. It was a good time.
Just a question. Okay, as a bassist, I'm going to be a bit of a nerd here. So when you, so I'm assuming you went basically DI'd straight with your bass straight in.
Yeah.
Did you use any other processing for that?
Like in post?
No. Like I run a Sans amp live, right? So.
Yes. So do we. Yeah.
Okay. So you there is a cheat, and are you running Logic? Yeah. Okay. So I run Logic as well.
Fantastic.
There is a plugin you can get. It's a VST, a BOD, I think it is, from TSE Audio, and it's basically a Sans amp plugin. So you can actually just go DI straight to the interface. Don't worry about the Sans amp or anything like that, and
you've got it.
And you just put it into your like either bus it or whatever you want to do with it, and it's basically the same as a Sans amp, bro. So
hell yeah,
that's how I figured.
So good.
Yeah.
I mean, well, so we didn't record the sessions into my computer. We did it into Nathan's, our producer, and he runs Pro Tools.
Yeah.
And he's pretty across some of those Sans amp simulators. But I think what we did to give full flexibility, because my bass player has a Rickenbacker.
Oh, okay. So it's gonna be like aggressive tone on that thing. Yeah.
A lot, yeah. So there's a lot to tame, and he's pretty like. He even said to me the other day, he was like, "Man, it was years before I started gigging with this because I just didn't know how to control it," which I totally get because there's this beautiful brightness that you don't get in other basses, and he's worked out a way to sort of. I mean, in all honesty, our music does lend itself to more of a jazz bass sound.
Yep.
But I like the point of difference. I like the fact that when you come see us, like that's going to be something you don't see in other bands like us.
Dude, that cool. Fuzz bass in Liquid Dreams when it kicks in is the dirtiest like fuzz bass tone. So yeah,
it's a bit of fun.
I can imagine that Rick really growling with that. So yeah.
We just played our first headline show on Sunday, and
nice.
Thank you. And the feedback from the sound engineer was, "Hey man, can you tone that shit down a bit?" I was like, "Oh, okay."
That'll happen.
They get pretty aggressive, but I think in the studio what we did, we got my bass player Shane's like Sans amp tones, and we split the signal so we got his pure bass as well, so we just work with whatever. So fun times, fun recording. I haven't thought about this for ages.
No, I know. I spent most of because I started the podcast during lockdown when we all went basically we couldn't see each other and shit, right? So this is a year and a half into doing the podcast now.
Fantastic.
And during that time, obviously, because you couldn't see and you couldn't rehearse or anything like that, that's when I taught myself production stuff basically because YouTube is a treasure trove of stuff.
It's wonderful. It's so good.
And all these different techniques, and the only thing I fucking hate doing is mixing drums, but I'll just leave someone else do that. I won't touch that anymore. I tried and I nearly had a breakdown from doing it.
I totally understand that. It's when I started doing the demos, because I even said to the boys when we first started playing together, I was like, one day I really want to learn the instruments and I want to record and play all of the instruments on one record that I mix and produce myself. And after doing this professionally a couple of times now, I'm like, I'll just write the songs. It's too much. Like, you know, props to those dudes who can do it all. But you know, I think my love for this stuff is playing live. And for me, recorded music is a means of getting to that point. So, you know, I have wonderful people around me who know what they're doing. So why would I mess with a good product?
Dude,
you know?
when you're mucking around with a genre such as reggae, there is so much. There's so many layers in creating this sound, and it should be just a simple sound, but it's not. There's like, because Barefoot basically recorded at Yamanui Studios with Paulie B, right?
Oh, beautiful.
The dude's,
of course.
The dude is a master, and
absolutely
we trust him wholeheartedly with our production because he knows so much. We come out with our minds blown every time we did a session, right?
Of course, yeah.
But when you're a 5 or a 6 piece band, there's all these layers, and then you got other layers on top of that, like extra percussion or extra little sound grabs, or like this like synth going at the same time as keys, when like obviously we only have one keys player and he's only playing one keyboard, he's not playing all these other extra synths and shit, and you forget about that in the production sort of thing. But then when you go into the world of self-producing, and then you learn that you can keep on putting all these layers in, then you got to figure out how to put it into your live show, and that's the the problem there.
That's the trick. Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that. So I've been planning this show that we played on Sunday for probably like in total like a year, but hard planning like the last 3 months. And it's funny you mentioned like playing those other layers. I've just started experimenting with backing tracks. And it's a risky game. Yeah. And we had like, you know, we had a stuff up, which is to be expected. Like only one major sort of thing. I think after watching the footage back, I think our sound tech had the tracks pretty low. So essentially it's mainly, you know, I mean, it's supposed to be just all us anyway, with little flourishes here and there, and maybe a couple of backing vocals, some snare reverbs or something like that.
But who's controlling it? You got the drummer controlling it, or are you controlling it?
I had the drummer.
Yeah,
so
right.
I just had I didn't have the time or the brain capacity to learn Ableton. Okay. So I decided we're just going to run a live Logic session.
It can work.
Yeah, it can, and it did.
Yeah.
But I was on edge the entire time. so not doing that again. I'd MIDI mapped a controller to just, you know, go to the next marker, go to the next song.
Yep.
I created meta events to stop playback and all that sort of stuff. And it was a good solution. But the more simple solution, which arrived today, I ordered it last week because I only found out about it last week. But you know the little SPD1 pads from Roland? Mm-hmm. One of those, 12 tracks, which obviously you can load in more tracks to each one.
Yep.
Stereo output.
Yep.
And you don't have to work. Like, I just got this computer and I'm like, I don't want that expensive computer and a stick going through the screen.
No.
And even today I was like, cleaning like stick shrapnel off my keyboard and everything like that. So I was just like, like, let's not do that again.
No.
But yeah, I've got this new piece of tech. So I think, and keeping it simple is like kind of the aim of the game. Like, well, I've invested a lot of money in getting our in-ear system sorted and everything like that. So we're running to click, we're running to tracks. It's all, you know, and we'll be controlling our own foldback. I can get all the boys to sign on with their phones to level their own mix.
Yep.
Once we're on stage, chuck the phones aside and we're good to go.
Dude,
you know?
You're actually ahead of Barefoot of that because we still haven't done in-ears yet.
Well, you know, it's I cheaped out on the second one. I've been playing solo for years, so I thought I'd get wireless in-ears for myself. I'm having a great old time. And then I was like, like $1,200 to put another 2 people on in-ears. Let's go half that and see how we go. I will recommend, if you're playing a lower frequency instrument like bass, because I tried to put my bass guitarist on the cheaper system, but him and I have to share the same one because like it just doesn't get down there, man. It just woofs out.
I mean, so. Because Asher runs in-ears on stage, but he's hardwired in basically to front of house, or the fallback basically.
Totally.
I've tried doing that as well because I run synths as well as running. Like, I run a bass synth as well as running, like, a normal bass.
Totally.
But I don't want to hear me in my in-ears anyway. The only reason I want to hear stuff is basically so I can harmonize properly with Asher.
Perfect.
For vocals and hear a little bit of, like, guitar in there. Because I can normally feel the bass on stage anyway. It's normally fucking loud, so.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, it's such an interesting learning experience as well, because like, I mean, ideally I'd hear mostly me and my guitar, but because I'm like borderline MD as well, I need to hear a solid mix of everything. And then I run through and I look at all the other boys' settings, and it's so intriguing to see like where their
what they're listening
mixes
to.
are at.
Yeah,
very much. I mean, you know, some of them are minimalist. It's like click, vocal, that their instrument, and that's it. You know, and everything else just so subtle. And then other guys, it's like, can you even hear yourself in everything you got up there? Like, you know, so it's just crazy how different everyone.
I do have a question though, because a lot of people sort of struggle with this, and there's a reason why some people just don't like using in-ears, is that it disassociates you from the audience, right?
Yes,
that's the only issue I have with it, because it, like when you're saying how much would in my mix, if I was home, I'd have basically kick drum, and click, and basically vocals, a bit of guitar, and maybe a little bit of keys and that sort of stuff, but that would be it. I mean, if they could filter me through that, cool, but like I said, I can normally hear myself on stage because the SansAmp basically bypasses the front, the on stage. So basically, I don't know how your bassist does it, but with the SansAmp on stage, I basically have that so direct out of my SansAmp. So
the
front of house
straight out.
Yep. So basically, front of house can do whatever they want, and I can turn up on or down on stage there, and it's not going to affect their mix. So it's fucking fine.
That's perfect, man. Yeah, I think that's really smart, because you've got independent control regardless of what's going on out the front.
Yeah. Well, it's a fallback.
And you feel comfortable. Yeah, exactly right.
Unless it's a small venue, then it's not going to really fucking matter. It only matters is somewhere like playing the Triffid or somewhere, or a bigger venue where there's a lot of room to move. Even Soul Bar to an extent, where I can, like, the bass is not going to basically on stage drown out everything out the front. Small venue, you're fucked. You don't.
Yeah, whatever will be, will be. Exactly. I definitely understand the in-ears thing, and being like walled off from the audience. I've been playing with in-ears as a soloist for years,
right?
So I'm quite used to it. Yeah, but we played a very small time show. We had this run of like Battle of the Bands things.
Yeah, I saw
and we
that.
were just like, and we were just like, let's just test some stuff. So we tested out this new rig, and from the moment I got on stage, I just wanted to be off. Like the new system was just, I'm not present. I can't hear properly. Everything was messed up. And then we came back the following month or week or whatever it was, and our guitarist got corona. So we were like, okay, we're performing as like a 3-piece now.
Wow.
From ideally a 5-piece.
Yeah.
So we've chucked the guitarist in tracks. I've relearned a few solos that he usually does.
Yeah.
And as a 3-piece, we still ran the in-ear system, gave it a go, and it was awesome. So I think what the difference that I asked for is, we were running a silent stage to start with.
Yeah.
I said to the guys, run fallback. I don't need a specific mix. Just run, a house mix in our fallback. Make sure there's no feedback. And there's something intangible about having the speakers like vibrating you as a person, like, and it put me in the room. Like, you're not supposed to really do this. And I only really do this when I need to like talk or banter to the crowd, but I just took one out, had a chat. We start the next song, chuck it in, off we go. I don't know, because there are so many unknown variables for me, running tracks is really ideal. I've had one gig where, the day before, the drummer I'd lined up actually dropped out on us.
Right.
And I was lucky. I found the like amazing drummer that plays in the other band happened to be available. And I was like, dude, can you learn these songs in one night and let's go? And he was like, yep, let's rehearse in the morning. And we got it. And it was amazing. I can't believe that he did it. And he did it so well. But it's things like that make me go, okay, like I'm still relatively in this, on my own. What contingencies can I have? And tracks is kind of one of those contingencies of like, the last thing I want to do is bail on a show, especially the day before.
True.
So, what can I do to make that the very, very last, unless there's a huge emergency, how can I not bail on a show?
Well,
despite other people's actions,
being as a soloist though, you'd be able to do a little bit of practice with the whole band sort of backing sort of session anyway, shouldn't you?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a bit different as a soloist. I sort of do like the looping, like live looping and everything like that.
Yep.
None of that happens in a Lucid show.
No. Okay.
Which is the way I want it. I want people to see us as a band, and ideally, like I want 5 members on stage. That's how I want us to look. That's how I want it to feel.
That's the energy of it.
It's that.
Yeah,
absolutely. And our show at the Black Bear was evidence of that. That's where we should be.
And that's such a narrow venue too. So that would
cool. Yeah, that was a challenge, but it was great. We got the stage. They've given the venue a facelift.
Have they increased the size of the stage? Because it's hard to fit like 6 people on there. So
yeah, they've put risers so that the foldback aren't even on the stage. They're like on these tables in front of the stage.
Okay, that helps.
So that works really well.
Yep.
Yeah. And because I remember I played on that stage not quite a few, but like a few times in my past. And I was just like, well, it's too small. Like, because we get into it, we move around a lot. And there was, lo and behold, a heap of space between like my back foot and the drummer. And it was great. We could move, we could talk, we could interact.
Yep.
And it was we could jump around. So it worked really well. But yeah, and it was a good test run to be like, what's our ideal situation, minus all the external factors. I mean, obviously, my ideal situation is I want to be playing the river stage. So take out everything that's completely out of our control, wind it back, and we go, okay, how do we bump on and bump off quickly? How do we organize our in-ears? How do we do our tracks? How do we orchestrate everything so that it's a smooth journey? And that was kind of the place to do it, and it worked really well. It went really, really well. So yeah.
Did you have your own engineer for that one, or did you just use Black Bear's engineer?
We did. We had
good call.
You probably know it, Jack Hudson.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know Jack.
Yeah, man. He's a king.
He's a master. Man. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
He actually engineered. Jack and I have been friends for quite a few years. He's rebuilt my pedal board too many times because I'm an addict.
Oh, I probably would have seen it on Instagram then when he's been rebuilt.
Yeah, you definitely have. Yeah. You've seen them on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. But I've winded it way back now. I've kind of taken my shots, and I'm not an addict anymore. So
that's a big fat lie there. Oh, hang on, no, we're all addicts for the pedal boards, man. But like, I just want to backtrack because people would probably. People probably sort of scratch those that listening that aren't like musicians or something like that. When you said silent stage. So people would be a little bit confused with that. I mean, I've seen you're obviously running stuff like the like Axe FX or your Helix and the Sansamp and that sort of stuff, right? So I've seen bands that are running a silent stage from side of stage, and then you will move around the front, and it's the weirdest fucking feeling. Because this was actually like a prog metal kind of band, so they were heavy, and out the front,
and it's just like.
Barrage of like sound, incredible, and then you move around the side and you just basically hear some clacking of strings, the vocals, and basically the drums just being loud as shit, and that is it.
Wow.
And my background just went.
It did. I mean, welcome to
the other side of the studio. At least
behind the scenes.
My wife did clean up, so she's actually sort of like there's the books and that sort of stuff, so that's fine.
It's looking slick. Like, I wouldn't be worried. Yeah. We're lifting the veil.
Yeah, whatever. The magic is gone. Fuck it.
We're all living in a simulation.
For the audio, that my background just sort of decided to give way and reveal the mystery behind it. Anyway, is life.
Well, I will say with Lucid, we experimented with a silent stage and I hated it. So I'm running my 30 watt tube amp. I'm getting the boys to run sometimes backline, sometimes we bring our amps, but there is definitely no longer a silent stage happening,
Good call.
despite the in-ears.
I mean, it's easy. Sometimes it's easy to control, but you'd have to have trust in your engineer. But I feel you lose some of that organicness of the live sound when you're running a silent stage as such. Yeah,
I agree. And honestly, like, I have no greater trust in an engineer like Jack. Like, he is wonderful, and even he was like, dude, run your amp. Yeah. Like, don't even think about running emulators and stuff. Like, they're cool, and you know, it's a good thing for, like, look, if you got to fly in, fly out for a gig, you don't want to lug an amp in.
Yeah,
great worst case scenario.
Yeah,
but if you can, always bring an amp. And I'm addicted to my amp now. Like, I just love it, so I can't not have it.
I will add a disclaimer in there to the metalheads out there: don't rock up into like a tiniest of venues with like a Marshall full-on stack in there and have it fully cranked, and then wonder why it's not being controlled like out the front.
Yeah.
Seriously,
100 watts in a tube is no longer necessary.
Dude,
I feel that.
I've seen so many metal bands doing it, man, and it's just like, oh. And I have some trust in the front of house, man. Like, seriously, like, we get it. You want to shred, cool, but this is not a practice session. This is not a tiny little practice room. You're on stage. You don't need to be cranked to like 8 on stage. Have it at 3. Yeah, you'll be fine.
Totally. And look, hey, aesthetics. I'm there for aesthetics. Let's do it.
Even then, I don't really care. Seriously.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, most of the gigs that I've seen from bands that I actually really enjoy, like, you can barely see the amps above their waist, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's not really anything there. Like, we're micing the crap anyway, and it's more of it's coming through the foldback than it's coming out of the cab itself. You know.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Shit, dude. Like, if I don't have a backline for my bass rig and that sort of stuff, I'm taking a 2x10 and just my head, because the sound's gonna be coming from the subs at the front, not
exactly.
me. I'm just
You're gonna
be
shaking anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. No one cares about your fucking fridge. I'm not lugging a fridge around anywhere.
Totally. So, especially not upstairs.
Oh, Black Bear Lodge, the back load.
I even went to the boys. I was like, nah, like, it's because it rained as well. So those steps at the back, so slippery, and I didn't even think about it. I was just like, I'm parking behind it at McWhirter's, and we're loading in from the front. Like, we're not doing that backdoor stuff. I'm not dealing with a broken wrist and we need to jump on stage. That's not going to happen.
Again, we'll have to explain this. Black Bear Lodge actually has like a notorious, I think it's like a 3 flight or 4 flight of stairs
because they go, you know, in a square shape. You have to follow a square spiral sort of thing.
Basically, yeah, and it's the narrowest of narrow. And if you're thinking of playing there with like a metal setup, don't do it. The bass player, grab a 2x10 cab or combo amp, and you'll be fucking fine. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, thankfully they supply a pretty decent backline there now.
Oh, good.
With the bass rig, they've got a little Vox in there and a Fender. We use the Fender,
easy.
And just because I love my amp, I just brought it because you know, why not? And it was great. So I think the heaviest or the most awkward thing was probably like the keys. And that's it. Yeah.
Was it a Nord too?
It was 2 keyboards. It was a Hammond.
Yeah. Oh,
and a Nord stage.
That's the biggest lug of them all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he was doing the 2 keyboard thing. I love it, man. It's so sick. The thing with my music though, there's not a lot of like emphasis on the keys. So we were like, we were in rehearsal, and he's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. So we gave him a shaker and a tambourine.
Well,
He's just doing his little moves. And it's great. It was awesome. It brought so much vibe.
Exactly. I mean, Sully, the trumpet player in Barefoot, like when he's not playing, he's basically like, grab something, dude, or have a boogie. And he's good like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I see the same boys like from Fatties as well, like doing...
but they've got their choreographed dance.
They do. They've got it all down. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Curtis and Joel are the masters of that.
Oh,
they
subbed
for Barefoot for like when we were on tour with Catch a Fire.
Nice.
They subbed in because Sully was over in Turkey, I believe, because he's nearly finished his archaeology degree.
Wow. Okay.
Or he already has. One of the two. Anyway, he was overseas, and we basically had this opportunity to tour with, like, I think we were doing 4 shows to Catch a Fire, and it was too good of an opportunity to miss out. So
course.
yeah, we got Curdy and Joel in, and yeah, they busted out these fucking dance moves out of nowhere. We're just like, bro, what? Do they again? Like,
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
yeah. I think they did that at Caloundra. That was our first show, and with them, and they busted out the
sick.
choreographed dance moves, and we was like, what the fuck? That's wicked. All right, every time you gotta do that. So
yeah. You can't do something cool in a band because you're stuck with it.
Exactly.
You're committed.
Yep.
If you do it, everyone gets you to do it every time.
Yep, exactly.
No excuses.
No, you can't not do it now.
No,
So-
absolutely.
That you were saying the headline show you just did on Sunday, right? So
Yes.
was that the first official Lucid Safari show?
It was.
Dude, all right,
was.
okay. So
Yeah. So
have you got
took
something?
a while, but we got there.
Have you got something laid out for the next for this release, because it's a killer release?
Well, oh, thank you. Well, yeah, we actually just got something today.
Ooh.
This month we'll be co-headlining the Zoo with Juno.
Nice.
Yeah,
oh
fun
man,
times.
Juno are rad.
So, dude, I play bass for Juno.
Oh really?
I do. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was the band you were talking about.
That's the band I was talking about. And yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because
So-
I've featured Juno a few times now on the point. So
Oh, you have? Of course you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. So they're killing it as well. I like those guys rocked up to the Black Bear, supported me as well. I have so much love for all of those guys. Luke played drums for me a couple of times for Lucid as well.
Yep.
So it's just this lovely incestuous bloody family we've got.
Which Luke are you talking about?
Oh, so Luke Woods.
Okay, because there's a few Lukes that I know that play drums. So
Apologies. Yeah. So you've got Sam Woods, who is Sam and Carly are a Juno, and Luke is his brother.
Yep.
Yeah. And he's wicked, man. He's a cool drummer. And he's the one who picked up all the songs in one night.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that man is probably one of the busiest people I've ever met. He's got full-time uni. He's doing sound tech all the time, doing shows all the time, as well as playing in session, like, your corporate bands, and doing Juno. And he was filling in for me. So we had, I reckon we had 3 rehearsals, to get stuff together. For the first show we had one rehearsal the morning of.
Yeah.
And the way that man can retain stuff is incredible. Because our music is pretty basic, but there are some key moments that are just
it's not
pretty
that basic,
important.
man. I've picked it apart a few times, man. It's don't undersell yourself. It's not that basic.
Oh, thank you. But it's cool though, because those moments to me are so important, and I think they're the crux of what makes our songs cool, and Luke was able to remember all of those, and he's played quite a few shows with us now. And honestly, man, like he just doesn't have the time to rehearse, which is fine because he can do it without rehearsing, which is great, but like I said, I get my mates in when they can. I have ideally I'd love to rehearse every week, but I know that everyone's busy, so we've got when we've got stuff to rehearse for, we're pretty rigid. Like we've been rehearsing for the last month for that last show, and we took on another drummer named Casper Hall, and he also does backing vocals, and I'm like, oh baby, come on, like join my band, please.
Harmonies. Bring it on.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
And he smashed it, man. Like the gigs, like the drums at the gig were fantastic, and just adding the extra harmonies, I think it really gave us a bit more. So ideally, if you can sing, I want you playing, so but obviously I've got Shane Kumar, who played bass on the record and he's actually played bass for me on and off since I started. He laid down bass in every track I've released, and we've actually known each other since high school. And he's playing bass for another artist called Marlo, and she's fantastic as well. It's a bit more like electronic pop kind of thing. But yeah, and so he doesn't sing, which I respect, because after playing bass, I'm like, yeah, no, I can't do BBs either.
It's not the easiest fucking thing to do, man. Like,
yeah.
You said you like Barefoot, right? So the song Could Be Worse?
Yes.
Money
yes,
Don't
I
Grow
do.
on Trees,
Yep.
That is actually one of the hardest backing vocals for me to do. because it's that because I'm playing it, but it's money don't grow on tree. I can't. The rhythm
it's not,
and the
yeah,
vocal thing is really fucking hard.
because they're doing these ones like
Yeah.
it's separating. I've with Juno, obviously I can sing, so I'm trying to offer that part of myself, but I'm also like taking on an unfamiliar instrument and trying to like it's tricky.
Take the low road and do like a ooh ah basically harmony, and basically that will fill it out.
At this point I'm just doing chants.
Yeah.
So we'll get there.
Whatever works, man. It all becomes just one sort of big sort of conjugation of like noise anyway. That sort of just
totally.
Like, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Have we got the explicit E for this podcast? I just want to make sure.
Oh, no one cares if you swear on it. Just don't drop a C-bomb. You're fine.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah. Occasionally, if I'm playing with Juno, you'll hear the like, oh fuck, and I've just missed that note.
Yeah.
So that's vocal ability. Oh fuck.
that's just jazz, man.
That's jazz. It's jazz. You're only one note away from the right note.
Exactly. I mean, I've been playing bass for 28 years, and I will still fuck up, even in like a barefoot set where we've been playing together for 9 years.
Yeah.
And
wow.
after the set, they just said, "Man, it was killing." I said, "You didn't hear that fuck up?" And they're like, "What fuck up?" and usually it's because like if I hit a wrong note, I'll know before I'm even hitting that note. I know I've actually hit it. And I'll do I'll do a run. I'll go
nice.
And there it is. There's that fucking note. No one cares.
It's a chromatic run.
Yeah, it's free jazz.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, man. Oh, I feel that. But even with making mistakes, like we've had some rehearsals leading up to the show that were like quite honestly they were flawless in terms of musicianship and everything like that. And then we're on stage, and man, I fucked up every single song. I mean, people. Like
they wouldn't have noticed.
No. But and we even rewatched the footage, and even the people closest to me are like, I was like, oh, and everyone's like, what?
Exactly.
And so it's like, but I don't care. I don't care about those, especially in the moment, because it's like we're on another plane. It doesn't, those little things, it's part of the live experience. It only adds to that.
All right. So coming from that, I actually because I hate to say it, but I'm an avid sort of TikTok sort of user, right? So I like going through shit, and I actually like the platform. It has its downsides for the music industry, where we feel like we have to be constant creators of content as well as being like musicians and all this other shit. But besides that, there was an interesting thing brought up by one musician saying, "Does the live experience matter anymore?" And when you have like, particularly during the pandemic, heat of the pandemic, when bedroom producers in particular were taking off on TikTok and getting known, and these people probably wouldn't have played to more than 20 people in their life, whereas you have someone like ourselves who have been constantly gigging for years, playing in front of crowds anywhere between like 2 people to like 2,000, 15,000 people, and there is a certain level of experience that you gain from that. And the whole thing about the live experience doesn't matter anymore. It kind of hurts to hear that. I mean, I get emotionally moved from a live experience. If the gig is fucking amazing, it moves you.
I so agree with you. I love music so much. It's I live and breathe it. People ask me, like, I was answering a question for an interview today, like, what do you do to relax? I'm like, man, I don't have time to relax.
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
The only thing I could think of is like, I had to say, like, I'm not a religious person.
Mm-hmm.
When I go to a concert, I'm going to church because my spirit is moved.
Yep.
That is the only thing that happens there. Like, and when I'm on stage, that it's only like amplified by 1,000 like of that spiritual experience, to hear that live music isn't like relevant or something like that. I've thought about this, more so from the point of view of the conversations about the metaverse and AI and all that sort of stuff. And look, we're talking about chemical reaction in the brain when we experience those things, and maybe to some point technology will be good enough to emulate the thud of a bass in your chest when you're like watching these people in front of you. But I think we're way off that.
Way from that.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just like, well, okay, I don't agree. I think live music is a spiritual experience for me, and I can't find that experience anywhere else but, you know?
Exactly. I mean, I have high social anxiety, so going to festivals sometimes for me is just like, no, thank you. But
Definitely.
when you're surrounded, like one of my things that I loved and I miss completely is the Soundwave like festival, right? Because like I'm a metalhead at heart, even though I play in a reggae band.
Nice.
I actually I like metal, and being surrounded by like-minded individuals in front of people that you regard as basically musical heroes of yours, and you're all experiencing the same thing at the same time, and you can look at each other and just go, yeah,
absolutely,
yep. And you do not get that. Well, okay, you can kind of get that from listening to basically like headphones or something like that, but that live experience where you're seeing these people play that actual piece of music live and you're feeling it in your chest and you're surrounded by these other people that are feeling that exact same thing at the same moment, you're right, it's a spiritual experience. And for people to say, does the live music experience, like, does it matter anymore? Obviously have not gone to enough gigs to have that feeling.
Or they've gone to the wrong gigs.
Or they've gone to the shittiest ones, yeah.
Yeah. Like, because we're not talking, when we're talking live music, I mean, yes, it's from varying degrees. I play a soloist to 5 people sometimes in a crappy venue, and I'm not having a good time. Yeah, exactly. And that's, we're cutting our teeth, and that's not the spiritual experience we're talking about. We're talking about you are in arms with people who you've never met, experiencing this ethereal thing. And, this is something I love. I often talk about when I'm asked about what I write in my songs. I'm like, I actually would rather not tell you what it's about, because everyone imprints their own meaning onto it. And when you're there and you're listening to the same song, everyone's experiencing their own journey through what that song means to them.
Exactly.
But it's outward. Yeah. When you listen to headphones, it's inward, it's totally internal, but it's outward. You've got this connection with the artist, you've got the connection with the people beside you, the people you stood in line with to get to the show on time.
Yep.
Like, and I will say, especially with metal, I know how fiercely like loyal and camaraderie. I don't know.
Yeah, you just made it up. It's fine.
There we go. Yeah. But I know the bond there is between a lot of metal lovers as well. But it's actually one of the most wholesome fan groups I've seen.
Yeah, but they're
craziness.
They also can be the snobbiest and
biggest
gatekeepers of them all. But I do love them. But
well, I'm glad you said metal, because if you were to say like, oh yeah, this branch of prog rock metal that's induced with the blah blah blah, like the sub genre, I'm like, you'll lose me.
heavy music in general,
like, sweet.
Yeah, there's like like alt rock could be sort of like in the heavy realm. So basically,
totally.
It's this thing. Like,
well, I'm a big John Mayer fan.
Yep.
And I went to it was the one concert where I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy VIP tickets. Like, that's, I've waited for this long to see him. And I was standing next to old mate I've never met. We're singing the words together.
Yep.
Like, we're like matching each other's energy. And live music does matter for sure. And I think it's really important to a lot of people. You said you suffer from social anxiety.
Yep.
I think people with conditions like that, like need that as a surviving force. It's something that is necessary to life. So it's an interesting topic though.
Speaking of John Mayer though, like the only time I would have seen him if he was playing with the trio, just to see Pino Palladino up on stage, man.
Whoa. Yeah, man.
And Steve Jordan together, like, seriously, that would have been incredible.
I'm trying to who's D'Angelo's guitarist, Isaiah Sharkey. I think I might have been saying his name wrong, but that was the tour I saw him, and his approach to the guitar is like he's playing piano on a guitar. It's whack.
Yeah,
man. It was so good. It's just awesome seeing those experienced players and just together. Oh my god!
And you come back with like a spark, right?
Totally. I mean, well, maybe for me, I was like,
you might be deflated.
So
what am I doing?
To do.
Why am I doing this anymore?
Totally. For years, man, I was trying to write John Mayer songs. I was like, I want to be a singer-songwriter and stuff. It took me so long to find my voice as an artist, and that was I was awakened to, because I've always grown up with Chili Peppers as well,
Yep.
and Green Day or whatever.
Yep.
And I always come back to the rock and stuff. And then when I found this mix of reggae rock and psychedelic elements, where there's musicality mixed with like, you know, good vibes and like simple ideas laid on, like they get more complicated, and it was this perfect fusion of vibe and music for me.
Okay,
so I was like, oh, there it is.
How far down the rabbit hole have you gone into the whole reggae sort of thing?
As far as the reggae, very surface level.
All right. So some people will say to go to Jamaican reggae and listen to that, right? Like I'm a massive advocate of Kiwi reggae.
Oh, Fat Freddy's Drop.
Fat Freddy's.
Stuff like that.
Cora. But
Cora, yep.
Cora's changed now because they're more like sort of like soul and funk and that sort of stuff. But if you listen to the original EP and the original album, which is sometimes hard to find on, I think you might find it on Apple Music now. It's not on Spotify though. Yeah, dude, that album has just changed my perception of their harmonies and just what they could do, because they're actually metal players and they've actually come together and
of course they are.
Yeah, because you watch them play, they're playing. The guitarist plays with this full-on Ibanez shred freaking thing, and you just go, wow. Yeah.
That's insane.
But like Black Seeds,
Black Seeds, I know those.
660.
660
obviously
for sure.
Catch a Fire, and then you go into sort of like Salmonella Dub and Tikatane and all that sort of stuff. Man, dude.
Yeah.
If you're looking for,
I got a bit of a rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah, if you're looking for influence for like particularly harmonies and more dub sort of stuff in there, the Kiwis have got to own it over everyone.
Awesome.
They just do. We've hit 50 minutes, man. So that flew fast. Hang on the line there. I'll have a bit debrief with you. But
crazy.
Lucid Safari, Delirium. The EP is out now. My favorite track on this, Flickering Lights, by the way. Fucking
thank you.
Epic track. When's the zoo gig?
The 24th of March. So coming up very soon.
Quick. Yeah.
Yeah. It only went down today, my friend. So the other band pulled out, and Juno was like, "Let's go."
We got Barefoot got hit up to play that.
Oh, legit?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But we
I don't know.
we couldn't play it. So
yeah. Okay. Cool.
There you go. You got Barefoot spot. So there you go.
I heard that Butted was supposed to be on there as well, which is a shame because I go way back with Oscar Richardson from Butted, so it would have been nice to see him play. Yeah. But and we've also got another show for a young band coming up on the scene. We're playing Tomcat on the 26th with Monstera.
Okay, cool.
So
I like Tomcat.
Should be a good show to go there. Yeah, I've never played it, but I've been in there and I'm like, I want to play it.
It's
so much fun.
It's such a dingy dive bar, but it's so much
fun.
Yeah, and it's come a long way.
Yeah, totally.
All right, Dan.
Yeah, so it should be fun.
Cool. We'll wrap this up now. You hang on the line there, and everyone else, do check out Delirium by Lucid Safari. I'll put the link in the description and blah, blah, blah. Adios. I hope you really enjoyed that one. We ended up chatting like half an hour after this podcast was actually finished recording. So big shout out to Daniel. That was incredible chats. Do check out Lucid Safari and Delirium, and do get a chance if you happen to see this podcast before March 24th, go see them at the zoo because it'd be dope. Once again, thank you for tuning in and supporting local music, Australian music, all sorts of music. You guys are legends. Cheers.